Chapter 6, Phonetics 2. Remember, it's the study of the sounds of language, and we have covered the two dimensions that we will look at with consonants, points of articulation, and manner of articulation. Okay, let's talk about vowels today. Okay, with vowels, there are three dimensions that we look at. One is how high or low in the mouth is the tongue. The second one is how forward or backward in the mouth is the tongue. So high, low, full, front, and back. Are the lips rounded, pursed, like a lip rounding, or spread? These three things determine the different vowel sounds. Okay, so let's look at the position of the tongue. So these are showing three extreme sounds, and it almost forms a triangle. So if the tongue, the front part of the tongue is involved and it's high, as in he, try he. Do you feel your tongue kind of near alveolar ridge here, very high? He, and you almost make a mean face, right? As opposed to when you say who, your tongue has moved, and it's not the tip of your tongue, but the back of the tongue. I don't recommend that you touch your tongue or anything, but it goes up here, believe me. Who. And when you open it up and the tongue doesn't get raised, it's low. Where's my mouse? Okay. And then it's relaxed and lowered. Ha. You have to open your mouth, and my jaw actually pops. Ha. The tongue is lowered, and the back is involved. So ha is a low back vowel. So that these are three extreme sounds, and in between we have different vowel sounds. So let's see what they are. Okay, so this kind of represents the triangle that I told you about. Triangle. Okay, so we're talking about the front, central, back of the tongue, and high, mid, low of the tongue. So at the high end you have E, long E as in beat, short E as in bit. Beat, bit. And then you come down a little further and slightly further back you have bait, a. It's like a mirror image number 3, bet. And lower you have bat. To the back, and you have boot, long U. It's a small letter U. Boot. Way back. Put. Boat. Bore. Bomb. Remember, your jaw drops. Bomb. And the things in this rectangular shaped box, they're all round. The lips are rounded when you make these sounds. Try boot. Your lips are rounded, right? Pursed. Put. Boat. Bore. Okay, and if you go to the middle part, when your tongue is in the most neutral, relaxed position, you have something called the schwa. And this is very important, so I want you to remember its name, schwa. So, as in Rosa or sofa. Oh, go away. Rosa. So, like, you almost cannot hear it because it's so relaxed. Rosa, sofa, like that. But you can hear it, right? It's around here. Another dimension that we sometimes look at is tense vowel versus lax vowel. So tense vowels are usually at the top. This one is tense. This one is tense. This one is tense. This one is tense. So beat is tense but bit isn't. Bait is tense but bet isn't. Boot is tense but put isn't. Boat is tense but bore isn't. Ha is tense but boy isn't. I guess they don't really go together. These sounds: boy, hi, how. These vowels: I, ow, oi. These are called diphthongs. D meaning two. So these ones are called monophthongs, one vowel sound. But these are two vowel sounds together, diphthongs. It's spelled this way: D-I-P-T-H. T-H-O-N-G, diphthongs. And then there's other lax vowels. They're kind of toward the end, toward the back and lower part, as in hat, hut, and schwa, about. And the schwa here is with the sound about. If you really didn't know the word about, and if you listen to American speakers, you wouldn't hear it's so reduced. Once again, that's a schwa, bout. You always hear bout. I remember when I first came to this country, people would say things like about, I knew, but something like, even something as simple as America, the initial is so reduced. You know, I can easily think of non-native speakers of English going to the dictionary and trying to look up America from the letter M, because they can't hear it's so reduced. Prosodic features. Prosodic features, okay, so far we have talked about different individual sounds. They're called segmental features, segmental sounds. But prosodic features go beyond the segmental sounds. They are called suprasegmental sounds, beyond segmental sounds. So one example is tone. And you're lucky because we don't have to worry about tone in English, but in other languages like Thai and Chinese, the tone is very important, and it's a distinguishing feature because it does change the meaning. So low tone, I don't know Thai, this is a Thai example. And to indicate the tonal differences, they use diacritic, these little symbols right next to the sound. So these accent markers, these are diacritics. So low tone, I'm guessing, and it's 2 dots, that means lengthened. So na, I guess, means a nickname. Mid tone, na, mid, it's the pitch, right? Rice paddy, which is very important. You need to be able to make a distinction between the two. High, na, I guess, young maternal uncle or aunt, hugely important. Falling tone, like na, face. Rising tone, na, thick. I mean, you need to be able to make a distinction with different tones so that you can be understood in Thai. Intonation. English has intonation. Intonation is something like, same sentence here, Jamal, you are the father. Okay. My daughter used to watch Maury Povic's show after school because she had to stay in the clubhouse in the apartment complex. And one day she said, Jamal, you are the father, and I just lost it. But anyway, so let's say, Jamal, you are the father. Falling intonation, that's Maury Povic declaring, you are the father. End of discussion, right? The DNA testing is all done and everything. But if you say, Jamal, you are the father, then there is still a little bit of a question, right? That's the contouring of the sounds. I don't know if he's the father. This is still a question, but there's no rising intonation because the question becomes embedded inside of a sentence, so it's an indirect question. So that's intonation. Okay, there is something to think about, something else suprasegmental wise, is syllable timed versus stress timed languages. So a lot of languages are syllable timed, so each syllable gets the same length. So if you were to read this in French, or a French speaker reads this, they would say hunters kill lions, and the hunters kill the lions. So each time the sentence gets longer, the whole length of the utterance will get longer. But English isn't like that. So in this sentence, all of these content words, remember content words and function words, get this stress, major stress. So hunters kill lions. Just listen to me first. Hunters kill lions. The hunters kill the lions. The hunters will kill the lions. The hunters will be killing the lions. Do you think the utterances are getting longer as the sentence gets longer? No. It's basically the same length. And how does that happen? Because major stresses go on content words, and unlike a lot of different languages like French, Korean, Japanese, I believe, that are syllable timed. Each syllable gets the same length. English is stress timed. So the space between these two, the spaces between here and here, the space, they are the same length. So you can have tons of function words in the middle. You can have tons of function words in the middle. They get all squished together. So you can only imagine how difficult it must be for foreign people who's coming from the syllable timed language background to understand American speakers. Very difficult. A very funny example of the difficulty before we get to this chart is you know, when I first came to the US and I wanted some burgers, so I asked for the directions to the closest McDonald's. And I knew McDonald's has some kind of a stress thing. You know, Korean is a monotonous language. There's no stress. So, okay, let me try McDonald's, which, you know, in Korean, McDonald's, it's 3 syllables in English, but in Korean it would be McDonald's, 4 syllables. So I wanted to try the stress. So I said, where is McDonald's? Okay, nobody understood me. McDonald's, nobody understood me. And this, since this was a independent syllable in Korean, I said McDonald's. Nobody understood me because I missed this one. This was where the stress was, and it's, you know, it becomes a completely different word and people don't recognize it. Okay, so this chart shows, this is a summary of English spelling and phonetic alphabet correspondence. I want you to study this, and it shows different locations of the same sound to p after another consonant sound in a consonant cluster. This is called consonant cluster. Or at the end, and P, the diacritic H means extra aspiration, and the stop sounds become extra aspirated in the beginning of a syllable, like pit. And once again, the tissue test, you hold up a thin tissue and it needs to blow. Pit, prick, plague, appear, like that at the beginning of a syllable. It becomes extra aspirated. Appear, you almost cannot hear it. So what's that sound? Schwa. Okay, and bit, same thing here. Word initial, syllable initial, word final, word initial, followed by as part of a consonant cluster, and double spelling. It doesn't matter. It's still one sound. In Italian, it would be lengthened, but not in English. So here are all the examples, and so unfamiliar ones: thigh, through, ref, ether, Matthew, thy, there, whether, lathe, either, and more. This sh sound, j sound as in measure, azure, casual, like that. Not very common. There's ch, which is an affricate stop. You start with a stop sound t, and then you move on to a fricative ch, ch, and it can be aspirated in the beginning of a syllable, like Tchaikovsky. Okay, j as in judge, midget, George, like that. L and R, liquid sounds. U, glide, W, glide. So they're also considered semi-vowels or semi-consonants. They're not fully. They've got the qualities of both. And W upside down is if you're pronouncing the H sound here. Some people do that. Some people pronounce which and which the same way. I think that's probably Washingtonians here. But there are those people who pronounce this H, which, where, whale. For those people, it's upside down W. H is easy. Glottal stop is only in certain environments. Bottle, button, glottal, like that. And if you were to pronounce it as bottle, button, glottal, sounds funny. It sounds funny to American speakers of English, but you might even call me snobbish for pronouncing that way, but sometimes it's easier. And this is a flap sound, as in rider, ladder. So these sounds are identical, almost, to English speakers, to American English speakers. Writer is also possible, then you might think I'm conceited. Okay, vowel sounds, the same thing. These are all frontal vowels, back vowels, pretty much, and this too, and schwa middle. Okay, and this is middle too. But there is a bit of a controversy, and then diphthongs at the bottom. Okay, some controversy here with this sound, and it's regional. It's a regional variation. For some people, these are pronounced differently from these sounds. So, they would say caught, stalk, core, saw, ball, all, auto. But for most people in Washington, would pronounce these two the same way. Caught, caught, father, stock. Core is different because there's an R following. You cannot say car. Saw, saw, ball, close to ball, I guess palm, sergeant, honor, hospital, melodic, auto. So these are about the same to many speakers, but some people do make a distinction. So I'm not saying everybody pronounces, especially there is more variation with vowels, and that's what really distinguishes different regional dialects. So I'm not saying everybody pronounces things all the same way, but there is a bit of the range of sounds. That's a better way. Instead of pinpoints, these are range of sounds that are accepted. So let's look at schwa, because schwa is a funny one. Schwa, remember? Okay, so the stress goes here, sofa. So this is reduced. Alone, the stress goes here. Notice? Okay. Symphony, so this is reduced. Suppose, stress goes here. Melody. Bird. Okay, verb, the. Okay, these are a little different. But if you see, look at this multi-syllabic words. The schwa is the sound that's not stressed. Not even secondary stress. Like this has a secondary stress, symphony, but this has no stress. And the symbol for that is this thing, this little diacritic that looks, go away, like this. So, E, and then this is reduced. So, schwa, so if you do A, and then reduced, it becomes a schwa. Okay, that's it.